Have you been to the grocery store lately? Oh my gosh. Like, I went and there are no frozen vegetables at like either of our two stores in our tiny little town. And I just got a message from my friend Kathy, who lives up near Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and they were out of tomato products. Like, no sauces, no diced tomatoes, no nothing. What in the world is going on? I think we have some tomato seeds, but I'm going to go even see if I can buy some of this past season's at a discount, just to see how many will germinate, or buy a tomato and save the seeds. Everybody asks the question about heirloom products. Well, if they're heirloom, then they're not gonna sprout. That's not necessarily true. If they're heirloom, it just means you may not, if they're not heirloom, you may not get the same product that you had just eaten and saved the seeds from. Like, an heirloom tomato is a straight stock of, this is a tomato and this is what the next generation of tomato will look like. A non-heirloom tomato is a combination of tomatoes, so that if you, I'm using this as an example, you buy a yellow tomato, then if you plant the seeds and save them, you might not have a yellow tomato. You might have a green tomato, a pink tomato, a red tomato. Anyhow, that's just how heirlooms work. So anyhow, I thought with the current food situation, I might share some of my favorite cookbooks with you. So, one of the first ones that Chris and I tried, and when we decided that we were going to start eating healthier, we bought this book. It's called 100 Days of Real Food by Lisa Leake. What a cool name, to have a vegetable as your last name. Very awesome. But anyhow, her recipes are very easy to follow. They are good. We did go through and mark yes or no to some of the recipes that we liked or did not like. Chris and I, and I'm probably a more adventurous eater than Chris is, I tried to feed Chris some Southwestern chicken stew the other day, and at first he was like, oh, I really like this, and then he found out it had butternut squash in it, and he was like, don't ever do that to me again. I want to like some of the whole foods, but my palate after 62 years, it's kind of, you have to work yourself into it, you know, like, I can eat granola and yogurt, but, you know, for someone to say, oh, I always add chai or flaxseed to this, then it just makes it so much more interesting, or chai pudding, blah, 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 like my friend Joe does. I can't do that yet. My taste buds have not gotten that healthy. They're just not. I mean, I've really done well about not eating a lot of processed foods, but baby steps, baby steps. Okay, the next book I've had for quite some time, and it's called The Homemade Pantry. And who is this by? Alana Chernella. And we use this book a lot. And it's taking things that you normally buy at the grocery store, and it tells you how to make it, like instant oatmeal. This page is actually on the granola page because I love her granola recipe. It's probably one of the best that I have tried. She's got a ketchup recipe, catsup, macaroni and cheese, so you're not buying it out of a box, corn tortillas. I really like this book. Lemonade, chai, fruit roll-ups in the dehydrator, how to put up tomatoes with forgiveness, some sun-dried roasted tomatoes that are very good, by the way, cucumber pickles. So I can't say enough about this book. It's a good one. It's a keeper, the Homemade Pantry. I use that a lot. Now, one of the other go-to books that I have is back in the, let me see when this was put out. We used to go to a church called Holy Trinity in Raleigh, North Carolina, when we lived near there. And this was put out in 1984. The first edition was 1976, and the second edition was 1984. And my mother-in-law bought it for me. And this is one of my go-to books. I just love this. Full of recipes. It's always marked to the cheesy new potatoes. We call it hash brown casserole. They call it cheesy new potatoes. I don't know, but Church Cookbooks just tend to have the best old-timey recipes. Cherries in the snow, fruit pizza, brown sugar pound cake. It's make your mouth water. Ham rolls and wild rice. I know. So this is one of my go-tos. Now, they came out with another edition in 2002, and I have it, but I don't use it as much because it has, I don't know, more modern ones. I don't know. Still has Nancy's pea salad and broccoli salad, which I use all the time. Who doesn't love a good broccoli salad? I know. Chris can't stand the raisins in it. I do. Now, for times when you really have to get back to the basics, I have the Pennsylvania State Grange Cookbook that my great-grandmother was a member of the Pennsylvania Grange in Greene County, Pennsylvania, town of Waynesburg. And this is from 1950. And I was lucky enough to inherit this book, and it just uses the basic staples that you can go to the grocery store and get. This was even before a lemon or a iceberg lettuce wedge with mayo became popular. Like, as a matter of fact, I found in the back of this book how to can lima beans, freeze lima beans, and my great-grandmother used to freeze lima beans in, she used to freeze them in boxes, like waxed boxes in her freezer, and that's kind of where I learned how to like lima beans. And in the back, it's got table settings, how to set a table. Now, when we were first married, I had no clue. My mother never taught me how to set a table, and Chris's grandmother had to teach me. She was like, fork has 4 letters, left has 4 letters, knife has 5, or has R-I-G-H-T, 5 letters, knife goes on the right, spoon. I know. I felt so helpless and hopeless. But then here's another one of her Grange cookbooks, and this one is from 1920. I love this one. Nope, 1925, I lied. So when she bought this book, my grandmother was 5 years old. And one of the really neat things is in the back of the book, and I've not tried this, but I'm going to, is Margaret Gordon's cranberry mold. Now, wouldn't that have been just the perfect thing to take to a church social? I know, right? Serve 16. There was also a recipe in here that's in her own handwriting, and I know it's in her handwriting because neither my mother or my grandmother could write very well at all. So there you go. This is for, a pumpkin pie, obviously, because it talks about the crust. And then sandwich filling that you make if you're going on a picnic that has 14 cucumbers in it, and onions and peppers and green peppers. And then you make your own mayonnaise. Half cup of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour, some mustard, sugar, 4 well-beaten eggs until thick. Now, my grandmother, I have her potato salad recipe, and she learned it from her grandmother, or from her mother, and it has the same mayonnaise recipe on it. So I always thought that was pretty neat. It makes a nice yellow mayonnaise. I don't judge. But anyhow, this is just a wonderful book. Tells you all about meats, how to cook a beef loaf and a meatloaf. And in their meatloaf, they used ground veal and ground cured ham. But they had a farm, so I know they had all those things readily available. My great-grandmother was a teacher. My great-grandfather was a farmer, and he cruised timber. So during the Great Depression, they both had government jobs, so they ended up buying so much property in Greene County, Pennsylvania. But I love it. I don't even know if they still have the Grange or not, but these are like my favorite cookbooks to go back to. And yes, I'm going to try Margaret Gordon's cranberry mold. Maybe this Thanksgiving, Margaret's. But it's just very simple stuff. Like donuts, how to make donuts, Mary Ball's donuts, drop donuts, apple lemon co filling. I don't know. I just think it's wonderful. And it has their Grange numbers by there. Don't you wish we had a Grange? Don't you wish times were back like they were? Wait a minute, they are. Let's think about 73, when the yellow fever epidemic hit and the world went into a depression. Are we there yet? I know, right? Anyhow, what's your favorite cookbooks? What are some things that you like to just peruse through when you need some ideas, or what are some of your go-to recipes? Do you have any old cookbooks from your grandparents or your great-grandparents? If you like this video, give me a thumbs up, like, subscribe. Be safe, everybody. And you know, we're all going to get through this. It'll happen. We'll be fine. I'll talk to you later. Bye.